Not too many weeks ago, we had the Florida primary. That was on a day where multiple states decided to go forward with primary voting, despite the fact that we already had a lot of reason to worry that people would become infected with coronavirus, perhaps spread it to other people. Some states shut it down, others went forward, and tragically, the DNC, multiple governors, Tom Perez, were perfectly fine with that. And we said at the time, you can go watch the videos, people are going to get sick as a result of this. We may never know exactly who, but it's going to be out there. And we were just a little bit wrong, because we do know who, apparently. There were 2 poll workers who spent Florida's primary day at precincts in the city of Hollywood have tested positive for coronavirus, according to the Broward County Supervisor of Elections yesterday. Steve Vancore, spokesman, said, "We just don't know, did they contract it after or before? That's between them and their physician. It's just something that can't be known, at least not to us. We just felt it was important to notify the public and, of course, their fellow poll workers who were there." So we're going to have more details on who they might have interacted with, but these are just the first to be identified have tested positive for coronavirus.
I would like to see the CDC go work back and try to figure out where all this came from. Where did okay, so we got 2 people who tested positive. Let's see if we have many possibilities. One of the possibilities is the safe way, but I'm not sure about that. The other possibility is the day we force them to be around everyone in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
Is you can trace it back, and it's not like people didn't tell you.
And imagine, okay, this might seem unthinkable. Imagine, what if they'd postponed Florida? Okay? How much worse off would we be right now, really, honestly? Would anyone care? Well, presumably the people who've gotten it, but would anyone, would their lives be worse because they weren't able to vote in Florida and, a couple of other places 2 weeks ago? No, we would have the vote in a month. Hopefully we have more knowledge, at least, of what's going on right now. We could have set up remote voting, mail-in voting, that sort of thing. It was an insane, cruel, reckless, heartless decision.
Well, they didn't vote in Ohio, and that state is on fire.
That's true. I mean,
everyone's
who loves
talking
Ohio
about it
now?
Everyone's like, oh my God, Ohio really put the brakes on the electoral process in America. What are we going to do? That's our number 1 priority right now, is that stuff. Yeah. So stupid.
Can I give you some more details on the workers? So that spokesman Vancore said the infected worker at the Martin Luther King Community Center was a greeter and would not have been required to come in near proximity or contact with any of the 204 voters who cast ballots at the precinct on Election Day. That person was and remains asymptomatic. The worker at David Park Community Center, though, was checking in voters and likely would have handled some driver's license for the 61 voters who showed up throughout the day. The worker is showing symptoms, said Vancore, who in the days ahead of the primary told reporters that poll workers were told to stay home if they were showing any symptoms of illness. He also said, we do not know if he was wearing gloves at the time. So yes, so if they were symptomatic, they should stay home. The issue was many people are not, but can still spread it. The issue also is, hypothetically, that person, I don't know if it's a guy, but I'll say that person could have gotten it on Election Day from a voter who already had coronavirus. That, all of these things were clearly known and stated beforehand, and now it's well, I don't know how we could have possibly got it. Maybe just touching a bunch of people's filthy driver's licenses and then touching the next one without gloves.
Voting is the worst thing, not for democracy, it's great for democracy, but voting is the worst thing in combating a pandemic because people have to be in the same place and they're touching the same things, they're near each other. You're creating a situation in which everybody interacts with everybody else. Mm-hmm. It is stupid to have done this, and folks are no doubt suffering the consequences.
Yeah. There's a press release, finally, from one of the offices saying that any of the thousands of people who voted at locations where the workers were present, quote, may wish to take appropriate steps and seek medical advice. Yeah, they should. The issue would be that if they became infected with coronavirus on that date, it's been a couple of weeks. They've almost certainly spread it to other people since then. Those people will have no idea where they got it from. The original people probably will have no idea where they got it from, if they even remember where they voted. The entire thing was such a disaster, and it was a disaster that was predicted, and now it's playing out. We'll see how many more of these stories we find out about in the near future.
We learned a lot. We learned that the guy in Florida on the primary, we learned that the guy who said Castro didn't have too bad a reading program isn't liked in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. big lesson there.
Yeah, we have a super chat, by the way. Gina Jones says, I was a poll worker in Florida on election day in Hillsborough County at a small precinct. I am not experiencing any symptoms.
Good.
I'm assuming you're also not infected. It wasn't clear from that, but hopefully you are not. But no one should have been put in the position where if they were a worker that they had to come in, that if they wanted to be able to vote, they had to expose themselves to it. It's hitting all over the place. Did you see, by the way, Boris Johnson?
Yeah, Boris Johnson's got it. Prince Charles got it.
Yeah. Whew. And so, I mean, look, some of our elected representatives as well. And it could go. He's the first world leader, although world leaders' wives have gotten it before. Geez, God, so many stupid people. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.